situation is now secured in that area, but we're still asking that all Midlanders stay put. If you're in that area, you don't need to be out and driving around or going to try to see anything. Officers are containing the situation, and we ask that you respect that perimeter. All entities responded on scene, and we have a lot of the partner agencies from the county, from other surrounding communities, and we're really thankful for the response that they've also made. And we also want to let you know that we do have 11 known victims at this time. There's at least one victim that is dead on the scene. We don't have any other details to disclose at this time, but that's the situation as of right now. This is, of course, an ongoing situation, and we don't want to confirm anything or give any other particular details before we have a thorough investigation. And so our goal here is to reassure you that we do have strong response from our local Midland Police Department as well as our region, and that we're going to be continuing to give you updates as we have confirmed details. We want you to know that Facebook has had a national outage today. Many of you may be aware of that, and we know that a lot of Midlanders do get their news from Facebook, and so if you would like the most up-to-date information, we've had success in getting Twitter to transmit that quickly, and so you can reference the City of Midland communication pages on Twitter if you're having trouble with Facebook or Instagram. We're going to continue to try to post on all outlets as much as possible. The blood bank need is not immediate. We've had a conversation as recently as right before this press conference. The blood bank need is not immediate, but we know that there may be future needs. And so if you have a willingness to go to our local blood banks to give blood, we invite you to do that. We would also say that the food and donations, many of our Midland community are going to want to reach out and make donations for our first responders and for the families of these victims. We ask that you do those things through the United Way so that we have one specific location that's disseminating those things and making sure that the needs are addressed. They're collaborating with our local food bank, with other different groups to make sure that all of those needs are covered. So please direct yourself to United Way. We want to also comment that there is a family reunification center that is set up at Midland Memorial Hospital at this time. And so if you have questions about one of your loved ones and you want to confirm anything, we would direct you there. I'm going to share a phone number, and then we'll also be putting that out on our socials. But that phone number for the Family Reunification Center is 432-631-4689. Let me say it again. It's 432-631-4689. If you have questions about someone that you're concerned about in our community, then that would be a place where you could go and get more information. If you'd like to go to the hospital in person, we would direct you to the chapel at the hospital to be able to get more information. You can talk to that Family Reunification Center there at the chapel at the hospital. I want to make sure that you understand that this is all hands on deck. All of our community responders are participating in addressing the situation right now, and we're committed to staying in that shape until we have everything addressed and fully wrapped up. So I believe Mayor Pro Tem Stretcher Burks would like to make a comment as well. You want to step forward?
Thank you, Mayor.
Can we give them the mic that I gave you on?
I'll just stand close by and you can.
Thank you, Mayor. Amy Stretcher Burks, Mayor Pro Tem. I just want to say our thoughts and prayers are with the victims, their families, and everyone impacted by this tragic incident. We're also praying for law enforcement officers, first responders, and the surgical teams working tirelessly to protect lives and provide care during this difficult time. Please pray for Midland. Most importantly, please pray for those impacted. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah. And so we want to close. We will take a few questions from the media that's here, but I first of all want to say...
Okay, you're listening to a news conference right now from officials in Midland, Texas. This is about an active shooter investigation. Let's listen in.
Is confirmed to be killed by this individual. We also don't have any confirmed details about any of the other victims that are in the hospital, but we will be continuing to follow up.
Some of our community members reported that they were getting an active shooter alert, and some people got a stay away alert, and some people got one, not the other. Would you be able to clarify who got which alert?
We have a geographic perimeter system that we are able to specifically identify cell phones that are in the geographic perimeter that we're trying to close down. So those people within that geographic perimeter received that text message to stay in place and not to get out and drive around. The rest of the community should have received just a notification of the incident and keeping them updated.
Is there more than one suspect?
At this time, there's only one known suspect.
And regarding that suspect, is he in custody or is he still out?
He is contained.
Do we have a timeline of when shots started this morning?
I don't have a specific timeline. Some of those details and some of the early events are still being investigated.
And just for specific details, do you know the area in which he is detained right now? Or
He is detained in Southwest Midland, 4600 block of West Wall at this time.
would you say is a standoff?
Yes. There's SWAT on the scene, and there are multiple agencies responding.
Do we know where the situation started?
The situation we believe to have started in Southeast Midland and progressed across South Midland.
PD was dispatched at 8:03
PD was first dispatched at 8:03,
and fire at 8:08.
and fire department was dispatched at 8:08, and then we had all of the other regional agencies responding in direct sequence after that. Excuse me.
Do we know?
Sorry, go ahead.
Do we know when shots were fired? At what time?
We don't have all of those details confirmed at this time.
Can you just remind residents why they might have not received notice as early as possible and where they can receive further updates moving forward?
We do want to restate that Facebook and Instagram and other platforms have had national outages, and so there was a delay in being able to communicate some of those things as early as we would have liked. So if you have questions and you're having trouble finding what you need, we would direct you to the City of Midland Instagram and Facebook page, but also to Twitter. We've had greater success in getting those things transmitted quickly.
Do you know the status of any officers? Have any officers been hurt?
I'm not aware of any impact to officers at this time.
Any other questions?
All right. Thank you, media, for being here and covering this. We will have updates as we have more information. Again, Midlanders, continue to pray for those that are impacted by this, and we will give you more information as we have it. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
For those just joining us, you've been listening to a news conference there from officials in Midland, Texas. This is about an active shooter situation. They gave some more details about exactly what's going on. 11 known victims. At least one of those victims is dead. They also say the suspect is contained. That's all authorities are saying at this time. So exactly what that means, not clear yet. But I want to bring in retired NYPD Sergeant Felipe Rodriguez. Thank you for joining us today, Sergeant. We appreciate your time. They're saying that people should stay put, so don't go outside, don't go to the scene and try to figure out what's going on. From your experience, why do you think that is?
At this point, what we have is a very chaotic scene. It looks like we have more than one incident, an initial incident. Now it led to going to another location. And we're constantly just seeing these continuous issues of mass shootings. We've already had 222 of them in 2026. And it just seems to be the point that it is an epidemic at this time.
Yeah.
And we just want to be able to control the situation and establish a command post.
Yeah, and clearly we are still waiting for more information from authorities there. But when they say that the suspect is contained, what does that mean? Does that mean that suspect is still barricaded wherever they locked themselves up into, or has the suspect been arrested or killed? What's your take?
At this point, contained, it just shows that he's in a location. They're aware that he's there. They might be trying to establish, getting their hostage negotiation protocol where they're trying to get some sort of communication to find out, either the motive, who else is in there, what kind of medical aid could be rendered at the time. So at this point, we're in the gathering of information phase. And we actually have to go back now and see what happened in that preliminary incident that initiated this whole active shooting. So the investigation is still ongoing. So that's why we get this sporadic, bits of information going back and forth until we, initiate contact with them and see what's going on or the motive for this shooting. We still don't know what we need.
Sergeant, I have covered my share of active shooter investigations, and oftentimes you find that you're all just waiting out there trying to see what comes next. This could take hours. It could take the entire day. What do you think goes into, I guess, the police officers and authorities officially deciding to go into a house or room, wherever that suspect is, to actually get them out, as opposed to trying to negotiate for hours?
Well, correct. At this point, what's going to precipitate that type of level of escalation is definitely his actions. If we start hearing gunfire again, the protocol has changed over the years. Now we're going back to the old protocol where we have a hostage situation. But most active shooters, it's been a continuous where they're, implementing this firearm over and over again. But if they do hear gunshots, guess what? The game changes, and what we call is an active shooter scenario, and then it's what they call taking out an immediate threat. And that's why things will change. The moment we hear gunfire, we're going to go and try to resolve that issue.
Talk to us more about why it's so important for people in the area, people who live nearby, to listen to authorities when they say, hey, don't go to the scene trying to check out what's going on. Just make sure you stay put in your house.
The most important thing, like I tell people, the moment you do show up, you don't understand. With a mass casualty incident like this, the most important thing is getting what? The medical help in there. Because at the end of the day, we do want to save lives. And people just showing up, it blocks up roadways. It can make it a lot more difficult for an ambulance, a fire truck that needs that type of clearance to get down these roadways. They become now impeded. And we can't have that, because every couple of minutes, that these emergency workers get in there, and the delay, guess what? We lose lives. So please don't respond to the area and listen to the information.
And Sergeant Felipe, I know we're still waiting for additional information from authorities as to exactly what's going on. But what do you think they're doing right now? What do you think they're doing in the area? It's clearly blocked off to people who live close by. But what are they looking for? What are they trying to investigate, at least in hopes of getting the suspect to come out?
It is a difficult situation. So the most important thing is what? Intelligence gathering. Let's see who this individual is, what's his motive. But at the same time, now we have a frozen area, because at any moment, gunfire could erupt. So here we are trying to conduct an investigation while you're still in what we call a hot zone. So at this point, you're kind of balancing the information gathering, making sure that individuals are also safe if any sort of medical aid is needed, and also how do we address the situation and keep everything under control. So it's a multifaceted type of investigation, hostage negotiation, and how do we respond if things really get, violence escalates.
Oh, yeah. Sergeant Felipe, thank you so much for your insight. We appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Let's get back to continuing coverage from KTVK.
Good morning. I am Robbie Owens in for Karen Border. We begin with breaking news out of Midland, Texas. Our Ken Molestina is in the newsroom with what we know right now. Ken?
Yeah, we're talking about an active shooter situation. Robbie, just getting this information into our newsroom right now. The city's mayor has just confirmed that there are 11 victims. They're saying that one of those victims is dead. We don't know the conditions of the others. Midland, of course, is about a 5-hour drive west of Fort Worth on I-20. You've got some new video that we are getting into the newsroom right now from the scene. It shows multiple police and law enforcement units, including SWAT teams, surrounding the Victorian Inn, where it's believed that a suspect is barricaded inside. The city's mayor says that they do have the situation contained, but they have no confirmed details about the suspect or the victims. Those are details that were given to us just a couple of minutes ago. The mayor did say that they got the first call sometime at about 8:03, shortly after 8 o'clock in the morning. That came out of the southeast area of Midland, and then calls started coming in across South Midland, where a standoff again is currently underway. So this is sort of a moving situation. Have a listen.
I want to make sure that you understand that this is all hands on deck. All of our community responders are participating in addressing the situation right now, and we're committed to staying in that shape until we have everything and fully wrapped up.
We do know that a family reunification center right now has been established over at Midland Memorial Hospital. But Robbie, one of the things that we keep hearing folks out there say over and over is that this is still very much an active situation and it is still very fluid. So we are standing by waiting to get new details. And just as soon as we get those, we'll get them over to you, Robbie.
All right. Thank you so much, Ken. As Ken was just saying, we are working to learn more about this situation. That includes the number of casualties and the motive behind this shooting. Of course, stay with us. We will update you on air and online at cbsnewstexas.com. Meanwhile, it is a global phenomenon that North Texas has been preparing for years, and festivities are underway right now.
Avoid the hospital if you're not in need of emergency medical attention. The ER, the emergency room, remains under a lockdown this morning. The General Hospital has lifted the lockdown 15 minutes ago.
They also gave a phone number for the Family Unification Center. It's 432-631-4643. 4689. We'll give that to you a few times, but again, 432-631-4689 if you need information or looking for someone perhaps in this particular situation. You can call that number for the Family Reunification Center.
Absolutely. And of course, this is still rapidly evolving. We want to talk about, how this all started. This began just about 8:45 in the morning. We're receiving reports of heavy police presence in a specific area along Business 20 here, which is also Wall Street, for those who don't know. West Loop 250 is where the area essentially was blocked off initially all the way up to Midland Drive. We're initially told it happened at one location. Turned out not to be the case. It's actually down the street a little bit. And of course, that's what happens in these situations. We have seen it before, Jay, where we get one bit of information turns out to be a little bit different than what reality showed. So we're still following this. We're still getting information. It's good to hear from city officials directly like that. We appreciate them for stepping out to be able to take some time to update the media and update you at home, the public, with unfortunate news, and that 11 people have been a part of this. They're victims of this, and one is confirmed dead, and notably on scene, she said.
Yeah, and certainly not the way they wanted to spend their Friday. Sadly, that Midland, Odessa once again thrust into this. We had the other one back in 2019, and here we are again, and that's a sad situation. We don't know also if this is related to the situation from yesterday. We don't know if this is the same person. That will be a key fact to see who this particular person is, and get any information we can on that.
And they were very hesitant about discussing getting into the suspect yet because they don't know just yet.
Right.
We're still, I'm sure the police on scene have information, but it's not ready to be disseminated to the public like we've talked about. And yes, it is unfortunate to be in this position again because unfortunately it is, what we were unfortunately thinking it was. It's active shooter with 11 victims in Midland this morning. It's tragic news. At 11 this morning, a busy Friday morning turned tragic there in West Midland, and it's still an active situation. This is not done yet. It is contained, which is good news. It's in one single location, surrounded with what Mayor Larry Blanc called a perimeter that has been established, and we can see that perimeter well established with multiple agencies, including the Ector County Sheriff's Office, DPS, Midland Police, Midland Sheriff's Office, and even the Lubbock County Sheriff's Office and SWAT team now going to Midland to be able to support the efforts in possibly negotiating with this suspect that remains holed up this morning.
You would think, though, by the demeanor of these folks you're seeing on camera right now, they appear to be talking and appear to be calm, not in any kind of stressful situation. So perhaps that was what Mayor Lori Blanc saying, that this was either contained or that this person was detained. And of course, we'll get more information, hopefully, on that.
Just got an update from the Texas Department of Transportation, All lanes of Business 20 from Thomason to Loop 250, including the north and south frontage roads, which are on the sides of Wall Street there, closed due to law enforcement investigation. We can see that clearly on our screen now. At this time, there's no estimated time for reopening. Avoid the area this morning. Yeah, seek alternate routes, and they'll share more information, obviously, as it becomes available. So a good update there from them. And so, again, there's still some questions that need to be answered, and we'll get those, I'm sure, as we move on. Okay. Yeah, so Tassa just sent another one. Okay, we'll pull. I think you read that one, did you not? In preparation, Isabella is ready to go. In preparation for that, we'll go to her in just a moment. Here's an update. Midland Memorial Hospital has received 9 victims from the active shooter incident. 4 are in the operating room and 5 are stable. That is the update from Midland Memorial Hospital. Again, they received 9 victims from the active shooter situation. 4 are in the operating room and 5 are stable. So that is the update from Tassa Richardson with Midland Memorial Hospital. So that kind of spells out what we are learning. Okay, absolutely. We're going to work on getting those images from Midland Memorial Hospital. Isabella Griega working hard to get us the information. Isabella, we have her on phone. We will get to you in just a second. We're going to get it set up. In the meantime, though, we're still working with these images that we have here from Eisenhower, Business 20. A huge perimeter has been set up here. Officers, deputies in tactical gear, the troopers as well. The latest information, though, from Midland Memorial Hospital, they are treating 9 victims out of the 11 that we've been told about. One of those was killed, so 10 still under treatment, 4 in the operating room, 5 are stable. We're not sure where the other one extra one is to line up with the City of Midland's information. Well, remember, she talked to the one guy who said he was shot in the arm and was walking around. That's true. So perhaps he was just treated and released. So that may be the one where we're... Very good point indeed. Of course, and we're going to check in with Isabella Griega just shortly here as we recap that this situation is still unfolding as we speak right now. 11:05 this morning on this Friday, June 12th, as that suspect remains holed up in a building, a room somewhere along 4600 West Wall. Still trying to nail down exactly where, but they do have a perimeter surrounded, calling it contained.
Yeah, we'll be watching, of course, social media. We want to check with certainly Midland Police Department. We'll keep up to date with that and see exactly when or if they're going to release information on if this is contained or not. You would assume by the demeanor we saw with those folks who were on the scene that this may be a calmed down situation now, but we don't have official word on that yet.
Not just yet.
We know they're still there.
Absolutely. Do we have Isabella
Yeah,
yet
she's right
in
there.
production?
Yes.
She's ready on our end. Let's go to Isabella Garriga now with an update. Isabella, what are you hearing?
Hi there, Matthew and Jay. Right now, again, that latest update is, if you are just joining us, Midland Memorial Hospital has received 9 victims from the active shooter incident. Now 4 are on the operating table and 5 are stable at this moment. From what I've been seeing, we're about as close as we can get, and from what I've been seeing, more law enforcement agencies are joining. We've had 2 tow trucks going in. Luke is going to show you the scene here right now. Again, we're about as close as we can get. We have a helicopter on the pad here, and I did want to make a clarification that the Unification Center, for if people are worried about their family members and their loved ones, you will meet in the cafeteria. Okay. That is the latest update that we have. We have Midland Memorial personnel with us right now, so we're getting the latest updates as you get them. I'm going to read that press release that they sent around 10:30, just to have that information out there. At approximately 8:20 in the morning, Midland Memorial Hospital went on lockdown due to an active shooter event in Midland. At 10:10, Midland Memorial Hospital lifted the lockdown for the main campus. However, the emergency department remained locked until further notice. MMH has established a reunification for victims and families. Again, that is going to be that new correction. It's in the cafeteria, and people can enter through the main doors, and you will be directed as needed. Now, please avoid that hospital if you are not in need of an emergency, or if you are not looking for a family member or worried for a family member. And of course, this is still an active situation. As you said, Jay, it does seem to be calming down a little bit at this point, but everyone should stay safe and stay as far away as you can from any of these areas that we've reported for you to stay away from. But back to you guys in the studio, and thank you.
All right, Isabella, thanks very much. Again, as you were hearing, 9 victims at the hospital. You heard 4 in surgery, 5 stable, and she did talk to one who, again, we saw him, I believe, walking around the parking lot as well, who appeared to be bandaged up, but was walking. So that may be the other one, because that would then count out the 11 people if we're following their numbers.
Absolutely, and still following also that vehicle we saw earlier in the morning. I'll have to look back and see if I can get a snippet of that photo of that truck that was shot out.
Had the window shot out.
Yeah, so that likely appears to be
Could
possibly
have been the one shot in the arm.
Yeah, so we're not sure. We're still working to put all that together as well. But I want to remind you again, the scene is very active. We can go back and show you that now. That's the live imagery of where this is all happening along Business 20 and Eisenhower here. And again, this is the 4600 block of Wall Street in Midland of West Wall, towards the not the interstate, excuse me, the Loop 250 between there and Eisenhower, and all the way up to Midland Drive has now been closed off. And they were saying to specifically avoid the area of Fasken in Business 20, which helps us get an idea of where they're working with here, that side road there off of the Business 20 itself.
Yeah, Mayor Lori Blanc, of course, saying during her news conference, contained or detained. And so, but you can tell by the demeanor, too, of those law enforcement agencies that they are seem to be calmed down a bit. So maybe perhaps that this is coming to a conclusion. We can only hope for the best. We hope that there's not anything more related to this. But as you can see, they are still there and still have that road blocked off.
Absolutely. And I believe we have Lauren Munt. If Lauren can hear me. Lauren, let us know what you're seeing out there. We can see a heavy police presence behind you. That, of course, is Eisenhower. What have you been seeing out there? If you can hear me, give us the latest updates.
For a more clear shot of this investigation and what is going on, we're seeing several law enforcement agencies from across. I know we had mentioned when we were on the other side that we could see them kind of going and landing here, but now we're really seeing all of them here all at once kind of in this area as they continue to block off the scene and investigate this very active situation. As you guys heard, several victims, one confirmed dead. I'm going to step out of frame here just so you guys can see, and we can zoom in a little bit more. and see what is going on in this, again, very active scenes. Law enforcement agencies from all across the area. Again, we're here in the parking lot of the Victorian Inn, which you might remember was where we kind of originally were reporting where the shooter was. Again, that was told to us by an officer on the other side of the scene. We can confirm that is not where the shooter is. He is not at the Victorian Inn. He's just down the road there. It was just what we were originally told by an officer on scene. But as we continue to kind of learn a little bit more about this developing horrible situation here in Midland County, we're looking there again at all of those officers, an ambulance over there. Helicopter kind of coming just above us right now. That is a DPS helicopter. There's another DPS helicopter just over the way. We've seen 2 of them so far. They've been circling the area for over an hour now as they continue with this developing scene. We've also been told that there's more law enforcement agencies from surrounding counties on the way. Just a horrific, tragic event that happened here in Midland. All of our law enforcement agencies, all of our officers, all of our first responders here on scene, continuing to protect the community and trying to protect the community even more after this situation that unfolded. I really, genuinely, Jay and Matthew don't have any other words to say other than we've been standing here with people who heard those gunshots. A horrible, traumatic event for them. When they were speaking to me earlier, saying that they just couldn't believe how many shots that they heard. Several of them shutting down businesses for the day, everyone going home as they're just in shock over this horrible event that happened here in Midland. We'll go ahead and keep you guys here on this shot, zoom out a little bit more so you guys can see. We've got police tape just to the left of us here that I'm going to try and move the camera for you guys to see. Police tape right there. That's just, I mean, maybe 100 yards from where we are here on West Wall Street in the parking lot of the Victorian Inn. As the helicopters continue to circle around us and we work to learn more for you guys on what is going on in this horrible situation. We'll go ahead and send it back to you guys in studio as we continue to learn more about this.
Okay, Lauren, as you can tell, this is still an evolving situation. Very active. Police are still trying to determine how the best course of action here. They're working with multiple agencies all the way up from Lubbock coming to help with this.
Yeah, and as you can see, they have not cleared that area. It is still active. You hear the helicopters that are still flying around. This is still being treated as an active situation. And so we are learning more about it, as we heard from the news conference. Again, 11 people shot. We have been told that 1 is confirmed dead. The others, there were some in surgery. There were also some being treated and several that were stable. We were also trying to follow up. We had received word that the OA had confirmed that 1 person was at MCH. We are trying to confirm that, see if we can get that information.
It's still very fluid. Again, 11 victims, at least 1 killed in this incident. Mayor Lori Blanc pointing out that person died on scene.
Right.
The scene, of course, we're still trying to, it's on the 4600 block of West Wall Street. You see it surrounded by multiple law enforcement agencies across the board. And so just to reiterate, this shooter has now holed himself up into a building of some sort there along Wall Street, and police are now trying to actively work to get him out or neutralize the threat.
And we're not sure if they have, because remember, Lori Blanc said contained or detained.
Or detained, yes.
So it's possible this is just wrapping up and they are just closing up the scene and that kind of thing. So as we get more information, we'll continue to look at social media and get updates. Many of you have been reaching out to us as well with information you have heard, and until we get that confirmed, we cannot pass that along, but we are working to do that. So thank you for sending your information in, and we are looking at that.
Absolutely. And of course, any information you do get, make sure you do so safely. Of course, we want you to stay away from this perimeter they have set up, which is from West Loop 250 at Business 20 all the way down to Midland Drive and likely even almost up to Midkiff at this point. But they want you to avoid specifically the area of Faskin Drive and Business 20. This entire area going to be under investigation for quite some time. The entirety of Business 20 is just full of law enforcement, DPS chopper circling overhead. And again, just to recap, this mass shooting involving 11 victims, 1 dead, and we've heard multiple are now at, as Isabella Grigg reported, at Midland Memorial Hospital being treated.
Yeah, and so we will get further updates as we get more information. We've also had some video sent in of cars that are being towed away from the hospital, and we'll try to get that.
Okay, if you're just joining us here on CBS News 24/7, we are following breaking news. This is about an active shooter investigation right now in Midland, Texas. We know there are 11 known victims so far. At least one of them is dead. We're also told that 9 of those 11 victims were taken to the hospital, 4 in the operating room, and 5 are stable. Again, this is a very active investigation happening right now in Midland, Texas. Police tell us the suspect has been contained, but exactly what that means, they did not elaborate on. We're still waiting for more information. Right now, though, I want to bring in Jane. This is a witness who wants us to protect her identity, but she actually saw all of this happen in Midland, Texas. Jane, can you hear me?
Yes, hi.
Hi, Jane. Thank you so much for your time. I understand this is a very difficult situation. Can you tell us what you saw, what you heard? You're in the hospital right now. What's going on?
I was in the hospital at the time when some of the victims came through. I was just visiting, and I quickly went into a safe area and stayed there for about an hour and a half until the lockdown was lifted.
And what was going on that time when you were in that safe area? Did you happen to get any information as to what was happening, what was going on, why you all had to be somewhere in the hospital and not actively walking out and about?
My understanding is that the whereabouts of the shooter were not entirely known at the time, and we also wanted to stay out of the way of the essential hospital staff that needed to take care of patients.
What is what was, if you are still at the hospital? I'm not sure. Are you still at the hospital right now?
No, I'm not. I'm across the street.
And what was the atmosphere like? What was the vibe like when you were in there at the hospital, inside the hospital? Were you hearing from people as to a sense of fear or nervousness about what was going on?
No, I think everyone is very professional in the hospital, and they knew how to deal with the situation, and it was a sense of calm and professionalism that everyone displayed.
Have you been able to hear from anyone who was close by and saw this active shooter out and about in the beginning, I would say, of all of this unfolding? Have you heard from anyone who actually saw what happened?
No, I don't know anything. I was in the hospital, so which is about 1.5 miles to 2 miles away from the shooting site. So I was not aware of what was happening at the scene of the crime.
What's going through your mind right now? I know you said you left the hospital and you're just across from that location, but this is your community, I assume. What's going through your mind when you hear of an active shooter situation and 11 victims involved?
It makes me really scared that there are people walking around with guns who are, who can just kill you and kill anyone around you. Yeah. And that makes me feel really unsafe and very scared.
I know you said you weren't close by. Did you happen to witness any casualties? I assume that first responders brought some of those victims into the hospital. Can you tell us more about that?
I did see some casualties come through. I'm not going to get into any details because I want to respect
of course.
The patient. But yes, I did see some casualties, and I think, it's I'm scared I'm sad for them and their families that they had to experience this.
And I mean, I know that's not something someone wants to see on a Friday or even any day at all. But as you saw those people being brought into the hospital, were you aware that there was an active shooter investigation happening all at the same time?
Yes. We were told. I was just visiting a family member who works at the hospital, and we were just on a morning walk. And we were told we couldn't leave because there was an active shooter. And so I'm also a healthcare worker, but I don't work at this hospital, and I know kind of the protocol. And so we just have to stay calm and hunker down and wait for it to end.
Yeah. And Jane, I know you said you don't want to go into too much details about those people that you saw, but do you have any information as to what state they were in without going into, again, a lot of identifying information?
The people that I saw were stable.
Okay.
They definitely, they had sustained some sort of injury from gunshot wounds, but they looked stable as far as I could tell. But I moved to a safe area prior to seeing any other victims.
Were they authorities, police officers, investigators out there in the hospital as well, helping you guys figure out where to go, where to hunker down at, and then even when they told you, okay, you're free to go at this point, what was, I guess, when were you able to leave the hospital? How long did that take from, hey, hunker down to you can go now?
About an hour and a half.
Oh, wow. And what was that like? I mean, you obviously were waiting to see if it was safe to leave the hospital, and you're not sure what's coming next, how long you might have had to hunker down for. What was that like in that moment, knowing there's something going on, there's a shooter out there? I'm not even sure if you knew at that point that one person had been killed, 11 others injured. What was that like at that point?
There's definitely a sense of uncertainty, and I kind of, to a certain extent, I kind of felt like being in the hospital was probably one of the safer places to be. So I felt like I actually texted. I live in the neighborhood of the hospital, and so I just texted a bunch of my neighbors and told them to stay home and stay safe. I was more concerned about their safety out on the streets. I was hoping that none of them were driving by the site, or none of them were near the shooting site, and I just I was more nervous about the people outside the hospital than, and hoping that they were safe and that none of them turned into any of the victims.
Completely understandable. Jane, thank you so much for talking to us. I know this is a very difficult situation, so we appreciate you making the time to give us more information. Please go enjoy your day. I know this is hard, so please, whatever it is you got to do to sort of get your mind out of this or off of this, please go do that. Thanks for your time. All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I want to go back to KOSA for continuing coverage of this situation.
Did die, and that's the information that we did receive. Again, this morning as well, we did receive information from Tasa Richardson from Midland Memorial Hospital to tell us that this morning, briefly, Midland Memorial Hospital had been on lockdown, but then it had been lifted. Now, we do want to mention that there is only one area that if you need to go into Midland Memorial Hospital, again, has been lifted, as I said, about 10:10. However, the emergency department will remain locked down until further notice. Now, we also did receive a phone number from Mayor Lori Blanc. If you are related to any of these people that have been or that are a victim of this shooting in this area, they are asking that you call that number, which we will have that number for you from the control room. But it is only, they are stressing again that it is only a phone number for people that are related to anybody that was hurt in this situation. Right now, we are seeing a very active scene. Again, if you're having to drive around Thomason Drive and also West Wall, please find alternate routes, which they are directing you towards the left, going from, again, Thomason Drive onto the east on West Wall. And of course, you are not able to access any of the businesses, which is like All-American Dodge or Subaru, or any of like Super 8 Hotel, Days Inn, West Wind Motel, or any of those, as this situation is ongoing. And of course, it is a very active scene. We also did see 2 helicopters flying over the area. Those are Texas Rangers helicopters. Again, we are receiving information that one person is dead. They are not telling us who this person is as of now, and of course we're waiting to see more information on as to who the person that passed away is. But also 11 people have been hurt, and again 4 are on the operation table as we speak. And again, at approximately 8:20, Midland Memorial Hospital went on lockdown due to an active shooter event in Midland. 10:10, Midland Memorial Hospital had lifted the lockdown. In MMH has established a family reunification for victims' families of the main campus of Midland Memorial Hospital. Family members may enter through the main entrance doors and gather in hospital area. Again, this is a very active scene. We are going to stay here on location. I am Patsy Casas with First Alert 7, and again, we are on location at Thomason and West Wall. If you have to access this area or come to any one of these businesses, please find alternate routes. Back to you in the studio.
Of course, we're continuing to get different vantage points, different perspectives of this entire scene that's unfolding and is really happening across all of Midland. Of course, this shooter himself holed up in one singular contained location.
Right.
But now the hospital's been involved because of all the victims taken to there.
Right. You did see, if you noticed when Patsy was on, there were some vehicles that were moving along too. You saw a TACMED ambulance that went through. You could see some of the fire trucks, some of the ambulances that were kind of making their way. So they may be leaving the scene at this time or beginning to wrap things up. But we are still waiting for that. And again, what we know today is that 11 people were shot, 1 dead, and there are a bunch in the hospital right now, some in surgery, some that are in stable condition. And we did, or at least Isabella Garilla spoke with one person who was outside of the hospital that said he had been shot in the arm.
Yeah, absolutely. And earlier, you may remember in our stream and our cut in here that we had video imagery of a truck that had been shot up, the windows broken out. We're getting a better vantage point now, Jay. This is in front of the Midland Memorial Hospital Emergency Room Department, and you can see the windows all shot out. It appears to be shot out here at the emergency room. I can't even imagine the situation of this truck pulling up like this, is what I'm taking away from this, and this person possibly seeking help. Of course, that's all speculation. Of course, we don't know what happened with this, but this is all taped in this lockdown emergency room at Midland Memorial Hospital not long ago.
And the particular man in the blue shirt was the one that walked up to her saying he had been shot in the arm. So he may be one of the victims or may have received a gunshot wound, but he was walking around and I believe had been discharged, I believe is what he told her. And I think they towed this vehicle away.
Okay, so this was a bit earlier. That's good news to hear in light of all of this situation. That, we have at least one person we can say has been accounted for. He seems to be okay. Walking around, of course, with officials. And as we move through the rest of the scene, of course, remember, Midland Memorial Hospital remains on lockdown like this. The emergency room, that truck may have been towed away probably for evidence as police continue their investigation.
Could have been.
And it will continue on through the rest of the day into the night, I imagine. The standoff's now been going on 3 hours at the minimum now. Taking away from Mayor Lori Blanc's press conference at about an hour ago, it was interesting saying that the situation started in southeast Midland and made its way to southwest Midland where we are now. A very interesting statement from her coming a little bit earlier.
And she just posted 9 minutes ago on Facebook. Here's the latest. Midland, I want to give you the most current information we have. There was an active shooter in the city, law enforcement establishing a perimeter. All agencies responded. She says there are 11 victims. At least one person has lost their life. This is an ongoing investigation. We cannot confirm additional details until law enforcement has completed a thorough review and all facts are established. She mentions the reunification centers. A lot of this was things that she brought up during her news conference. She said, please note that Facebook experienced an outage. We told you about that. She wraps this up by saying, my heart breaks for the victims and their families. We are praying for every person touched by today's events and for the law enforcement officers who risk their own safety to protect our community. She posted that 9 minutes ago on Facebook from Mayor Lori Blanc in Midland.
And I think we share that sentiment wholly across West Texas today, as this is an absolute tragedy that has unfolded and has struck our community yet again this morning on this June 12th, 2026. But it's a tough time for all those people who are involved in this.
Sure. This is something they won't forget. Again, it's too close to the one we had before in 2019, and here we are once again. And it is a sad thing that we have to deal with. The response by the law enforcement agencies, amazing. I mean, the fact that all those people can come together and can bring this to a close if it is indeed closed. And by all indications, I mean, you're looking at a scene right now that does not appear to be near as hectic as it was earlier. And you know, because you were looking at live images, and those folks were all business as they were trying to get their job done. And now it appears to be perhaps calmed down a bit. That's what we can hope, and that perhaps this is over with.
Absolutely, and we hope for a good resolution to this. Of course, unfortunately, we did confirm that there were many people involved in this, 11 total.
Right.
One person has lost their life, and others are in the hospital right now being treated. So a lot of things are happening right now. We can go back to the scene and show you what Jay's talking about that scene not being as chaotic. If you were with us at the beginning of this broadcast, this was almost 3 hours ago, 2.5 total. At 9 o'clock, this scene was unfolding rapidly. We were at Market Street, which is just south of Interstate. Not the store, the street itself. There goes one of the armored units.
Vehicles are starting to pull away, and that's
which is interesting. This could signify something. It may not. We're still trying to figure out as well. We were located south of the tracks there on Industrial and Market Street. There was a lot going on. Multiple agencies were still responding actively, including Odessa Police, Midland Police. And we're still trying to track down where this was happening.
Yeah, a lot of misinformation early on because you don't know what's going on.
No,
right,
we were still trying to figure out where this exactly was going on, try to get out the best information we had at the time. And in the meantime, this has now evolved to where at least we can say this has been contained, according to Mayor Lori Blanc. Still trying to clarify some of the details around that. We do know 4600 block of West Wall is where this is all centered out, specifically staying away from the Fasken area. Eisenhower, this is where they're staged at. You're looking here, Eisenhower and Business 20.
And again, you see more vehicles who are pulling out, getting out of that way, getting off the scene. And so perhaps that means we're getting closer to closure on this. The sad part of that, you're seeing that there on your screen. That lower tells you everything. 11 victims, at least one dead. Active shooter scene secure in Midland. That's according to Mayor Lori Blanc. No details yet. We don't know any other situation on the shooter or anything like that, but we, again, from her, contained and the scene secure. So heartbreaking news for the city of Midland. Not something that you want to deal with. Matthew and I sadly have dealt with this before back in 2019, and here we are again. It's not something you really wanted to do, but here we are.
Absolutely. I mean, it's part of, this covering this story is very intense and very tough, of course, but let's get an update now, a scene update from this very location. First Alert 7's Lauren Munt, who's been operating this camera as well, trying to gather information. Let's hear from her this morning. Lauren, what do you know?
Yeah, guys, we're here. We've been kind of here at this scene since this all began at 8:15 this morning. I'm starting to see officers clear the area. We just saw 2 big armored SWAT trucks leave the area. They've all kind of headed down that direction. We don't know what that means. We don't know if that means that there is still something going on. Usually when they're clearing the scene, it means that something has happened. We have no details on that quite yet, but I can tell you that they are starting to clear the scene. OPD officers, you can see kind of moving down that way. Again, we saw 2 armored vehicles. We saw them pull in at 8 o'clock this morning. We are seeing them leave the scene right now. We don't know what that means for the investigation, but I'll step away here just so you guys can see and try and zoom in a little bit there on those officers as they continue to kind of try and clear the area. If you were with us earlier in that shot, you could see there were dozens more officers there. There's some ECSO officers leaving the area. I'll try and pan the camera so you guys can see as they kind of continue to head out. We don't know, again, what that means for the investigation, but the officers are clearing the area. There's another SWAT vehicle kind of just behind there. You guys can, let me turn it so you guys can see there a little bit. Another SWAT vehicle. Again, they're all kind of starting to clear the area now. We've heard some officers say that they're getting ready to head out. Again, this is Business 20, Wall Street, Industrial, that whole area where everything has taken place, where the whole investigation has gone on. We've been out here since 8 o'clock this morning as a lot of these officers started to arrive on scene, but we are seeing them start to kind of fade out and leave the area. We'll continue to keep you guys updated as we learn more about what this means for the situation. We do not know if that means that it's over or if it just means that they're moving and making way for some other officers or anything else, but we do know at this time there are several officers who are clearing the area. I'm going to go ahead and send it back to you guys in studio. We'll keep this shot up for y'all as we continue to learn a little bit more about what's going on here in Midland.
All right, Lauren, thanks very much. We're also wanting to share some video that was sent to us. This is of gunfire that was taking place with police, and we are learning this was by the Tall City Veterinary Hospital, which if you look it up, it says it is permanently closed, so that could be a vacant building. This could be where this situation is. You and I have heard this, but we don't know this for sure, but this was where this was taken. So let's take a listen to this.
That's smaller than what he was shooting a while ago. That's a different vehicle. That's a different gun.
Gunshots. You can see the officers shooting from behind those vehicles. This was in the area of the Tull City Veterinary Hospital, which, as we have learned, is permanently closed. And so that abandoned building may have been where this person was. We don't know that for sure, but that's where this video was taken. And there you see those law enforcement, and you heard the number of shots that were fired.
Tons of shots, unfortunately. You can see those police officers taking cover as this situation was unfolding. This was seems to be a little while ago, a few hours ago possibly. We're not exactly sure when this was shot, when it came from, of course, but we want to share this imagery with you to give you an update of how intense the situation is and why the perimeter on this is so large with these kind of things happening like this. So, of course, stay back, of course, if you can. Again, this is happening around the Tull City Veterinary Clinic area. This to give you an idea of where this is happening. You said it says permanently closed, which is interesting to note for sure.
Yeah.
And again, they say they have this contained. 11 victims, at least one dead is what we know right now. This is new video we got in earlier. You hear shots being fired one after another. And going back now live out to the scene. There's
can we show this live footage from the scene? Because you can see all these vehicles are beginning to pull away now. There's a SWAT vehicle. There's a Sheriff's Department car. You can see it appears that folks are beginning to clear out of this area, hopefully getting this back open. Also, somebody I noticed had posted, when did Wall Street become Business 20? Well, it's always been Business 20 from Loop 250 to Eisenhower.
Yes.
And then from Eisenhower, it becomes West Wall. So for those of you who don't, it is interesting. And that is confusing. A good question for people to ask. But I noticed that on Facebook, someone was asking, when did that change? So just so you know, Loop 250 is from, or I should say Business 20 from Loop 250 to Eisenhower. Then Eisenhower in is West Wall Street. So that's where that confusion is.
Yes, and so we try to say both so you know where we are talking about. 4600 block West Wall. If you Google that on Google Maps, it'll show you where we're talking about specifically. And so please keep that in mind as these agencies do appear to be, some of them possibly clearing the scene this morning. And we're continuing to follow this developing situation as it unfolds right in front of us live on camera. We'll hear from some of our crew here in just a moment. Want to get some of them ready to go to let us know what they're hearing, what they're seeing out there. Lauren Munt has been here at this scene. Isabella Garriga has been at the hospital tracking that unfolding situation as well. We also have another update from the city of Midland. Breaking news here from the city of Midland.
Breaking news. Here we go.
The active shooter incident has been resolved. The suspect is confirmed dead. Wow. He is deceased. The scene remains active. It has not been cleared. Road closures are expected to remain in place for the foreseeable future as the investigation continues. Please avoid the area and monitor City of Midland departments for updates, of course. But again, the shooter is dead.
Confirmed deceased, and the incident has been resolved. That's good news to hear in that area, and we're noticing the more as we look at our image from that actual scene is that more law enforcement vehicles are beginning to pull away. So certainly good news. I anticipate that it'll probably be blocked off closer to where all this took place so they can do more investigation. But again, the big news, that was 1 minute ago, the city of Midland posted that the active shooter incident has been resolved.
Absolutely. Okay. Again, yes, active shooter incident resolved. Suspect confirmed deceased.
Yep.
The scene remains active. We can see that, Jay, like you just said. It is still ongoing right now. But this doesn't change the fact, unfortunately, 9 people, of course, involved in this total. 11 total.
11 total.
11 total, 9 in the hospital, 4 in surgery, 5 stable. So, again, a lot of people affected by this, lives, of course, touched by this tragedy. But the shooting suspect is dead now this morning, according to the city of Midland.
All right. We, again, have had crews all over. We've had them here on the scene, had them at the hospital. We've been trying to get you all the information we can. And keep in mind, this being an active situation, it's hard to get all of the information, but I think our crews got us what we could. You heard all the video that we received, hearing the shots that were fired. You never want to hear that sound. Sadly, we had to today, and sadly, it affected a lot of people, and this is something we won't forget. And so, tough way on a Friday, but good news that, again, it appears that this is wrapping up. Again, active shooter situation has ended. It's Mayor Lori Blong also posting the same thing, saying the active investigation continues. So you probably will see some road closures. So keep that in mind as you are working in this area. And if you're out driving around, you want to stay out of their way and let them do their job as they continue to investigate exactly what's happened today.
Absolutely. An absolute tragedy that has unfolded across our community again this morning. It's been years, of course. We haven't forgotten the last one. It's still fresh, especially in the summer months. And here we are again. We are going to be, of course, praying and keeping those victims in our thoughts, prayers, the entire community. If you have it in your heart to donate, Mayor Leibong put it best. Reach out to the United Way to do so.
Yeah. She said that agency is set up to handle those kind of situations. I know she said a lot of people ask about blood donations.
Definitely.
That always comes up, and there will be a need for that, I'm sure, at some point. So she urged that you just wait until that call is needed because you don't want to flood the blood bank and start doing that if it's not needed. And so we will, of course, pass that information along as we get that. But everybody wants to help in situations like this. We understand that. And so we urge you to just check the social media and look for the City of Midland, see those updates, and then follow their instructions.
And we so do appreciate the City of Midland, Midland Police, all of the agencies, DPS,
yes.
reaching out, posting information while this is going on, knowing that we're trying to also be the middleman here and get the information out to our viewers who are watching here on First Alert 7, our news app, anywhere across, wherever you're watching. We do appreciate their time helping us out across the way, and city leaders for taking time to also speak directly to you at home, essentially.
And those law enforcement agencies, yeoman's work, and it's not a job that everybody wants to do. And in situations like this, this is when they're at their toughest, and it's going to affect them as well. So keep that in mind that this situation they had to be involved in as well. But again, the good news coming from the City of Midland that this scene has been wrapped up and that the shooting victim is deceased.
That is the latest information we have for you. 11:42 now on this Friday, June 12th. An interesting morning, not to say the very least. Of course, we want to remind you, of course, that scene, while it may have come to a conclusion, it certainly will not be clear anytime the rest of the day, possibly for quite some time. Business 20/Wall Street from Loop 250 all the way up to Eisenhower and up to Midland Drive is completely shut down, and it will remain to be so for quite some time. And again, the area of Faskin, the side roads, there is a service road to the side of this Business 20 area here, so keep that in mind too. If you do have a commute that takes you through there, you might work in this area, and so if you're wondering about this, this is going on. But they have now isolated and taken out that suspect that has injured all of these people and killed one so far.
And keep those victims in your thoughts and prayers.
Absolutely.
A lot of folks that are in surgery right now. You have some folks that are stable. We've had one person who died at the scene. We have told you that the shooter was shot and killed. So as we wrap this up, keep those folks in your thoughts and prayers. And these law enforcement agencies, because they had to deal with this and deal with this situation. And active gunfire is not something any of them want to be involved in. And here they were today having to deal with
Unfortunately so. We got an update earlier from Isabella Garriga. We saw way earlier on in our broadcast, a vehicle that appears to have possibly been involved in this window shot out. I believe we have that video. We want to see that. Look at this truck here. Now possibly taken away from evidence. It's no longer in front of the Emergency Department of Midland Memorial, and the person here in the blue involved in this as well, seems like.
Yeah, he, I believe, told her that he had been shot in the arm. He had some bandages on him, but he was up and walking and was walking out, and he had said to her at that point he had been released from the hospital. So he could have been one of those victims that was not shot, obviously, and that's not what you want, but was able to walk out. Again, there are 4 people in surgery. That was an update earlier. 5 people are stable. I have not seen an update from the hospital on this as to, let's see, here's an update as of 11:17. Midland Memorial Hospital no longer on lockdown. That was at 11:17. Here we are at 11:45. So about 30 minutes ago, they had lifted the lockdown on the hospital, obviously getting word that this has been wrapped up. So that is good. Here's some information about the Unification Center. This is from the, this is from Midland County. In response to this morning's active shooter incident, Midland County, with the community organization Actives in Disaster, they call it COAD, has coordinated with Community Unification Center at Midland Memorial. This gives information out. You could look at that probably on Facebook. That's probably been posted as well on Midland County's page, so you can get that information.
Absolutely. Again, we want to recap, reiterate, start from the beginning. This all started to unfold now 3 hours ago. About 8:45, we first started getting reports of a heavy police presence early this morning in the southwest part of Midland, Business 20 Wall Street there, past the loop, up to Eisenhower. tried to nail down a location. That proved itself to be very difficult, of course, with a lot of different information coming our way.
Sure.
We had what we had, but of course we were able to correct that a bit more. Now we really kind of have an idea of what we're talking about, especially with a lot of the video, the shocking video, hearing the gunshots being strewn about and towards our police officers there who were taking cover behind a police vehicle. We have that video. In the meantime, of course, if we can bring that up, can we bring up that video one more time to show you that we just got not long ago, showing those shots and hearing, you can hear those shots being fired from the suspect who eventually police were able to go in and take out and no longer.
Okay, if you are just joining us on CBS News 24/7, you have been listening to coverage from KOSA. This is about a mass shooting in Midland, Texas, and authorities have now confirmed that the suspect in that shooting is dead, but they also say the scene is still very active. This happened about a couple of hours ago. We're told there are 11 known victims, and at least one of those victims died and is still at the scene. We're also told that 9 victims were taken to the hospital for treatment. 4 of them are in the operating room right now. 5 are in stable condition. They're being treated. So again, this is a very, very active situation. For a while there, we're told that the suspect had barricaded themselves in a building, and authorities were trying to work to get that person to come out. But they have now confirmed that the suspect is dead. The scene, though, is still active. We know 1 person is dead, several others injured. We'll continue to follow the story for you and bring you more details when we come back on CBS News 24/7. Stay with us.
This Tony Sunday, curtain going up on the musical Ragtime, plus Steven Spielberg's Alien Adventure, and a taste of honey.
The only way to get a 360-degree understanding of America is to get out there in America. There really is no swing at all when it comes to the priorities of everyday people. We care about how secure our job is, whether we can plan on retiring with dignity, whether our kids can have a brighter future than we have today. These are the fundamentals of American life, and I think they can be again.
Chilling with the queen, her name is Gail King.
Hey!
CBS.
CBS Morning.
See you at 7.
CBS.
CBS Morning.
CBS Morning.
What she said.
Eric Richens was found dead in his home.
The family had been alerted by Eric that if something happened to him, to look at Corey.
Why would Corey Richens want her husband dead? What jurors on the case say led to their verdict.
I was like, seriously? Now we've seen just about everything in this trial.
48 Hours, now streaming on CBS and Paramount Plus.
I'm Adriana Diaz.
And I'm Kelly O'Grady.
Join us right here
for the perfect start to your weekend.
Watch CBS Saturday morning
on CBS and streaming on Paramount Plus.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
I'm Major Garrett in Washington, inviting you to the Takeout. Politics, policy, people, and pop culture served up weeknights. What's on the menu? Plenty. The day's happenings with curiosity and formality and humor. It's serious discussion, but we do not take ourselves too seriously. Who was a better speaker, Mike Johnson or you? Oh, come on. Join me on the Takeout. Streaming right here on CBS News 24/7.
A man convicted in the arson death of a billionaire in Monaco reinvents himself and decades later orders a hit in New Mexico.
He kept asking me if I knew somebody that could kill his wife.
You think he targeted her? Yeah.
This isn't the first time he's been in question of a heinous crime.
48 Hours, now streaming on CBS and Paramount Plus.
CBS Morning.
What she said.
CBS Mornings on CBS and where else? Paramount Plus.
See you at 7.
CBS Mornings.
Welcome back to CBS News 24/7. We are following some breaking news about the Pope's plane. The Pope is traveling in Spain, but it looks like there was some issue with his plane. Our Chris Livesay has more information. Listen.
Well, we just witnessed something rather extraordinary. I am sitting on the papal plane where the Pope has just been escorted off the plane. In fact, you can still see the red carpet there. Moments ago, he was already on the papal plane when the pilot came on the intercom and announced that there was a problem with one of the systems. The pilot did not specify which system, and then shortly